Okay, hey guys. Not as sunny here today. Even I guess maybe if I turn, that's better. Um, but I realized like I don't have to stand in the kitchen because I'm not actually making anything right now. So what we're gonna talk now about is after much voting and neck between whether we do the blood type diet or hey Zippy or Optavia. So they were like neck and neck, and then finally a bunch of people voted like all at once, and then Optavia did win. But maybe we'll do blood type diet next week. But anyways, okay. So a lot of questions. First of all, if there's anything that you don't, if there's something specific you really want to see or hear, just write that right now as a questions. Sorry, I forgot to turn off the don't disturb on my phone. Can I do it now while we're on? Oh, I can. Amazing. Okay, great. Now I won't get all the notifications that I was getting. Okay, so I want to start off by saying, hey, Tippy. Hi, Abigail. Thank you. Phi Lipsker. Oh, you're tagged your friend. I was like, that's not my name. Anyways, I want to start off by saying that I think anyone who knows me knows that I'm not like a party pooper. I'd like to think I'm not a party pooper. And I'm not one to bash things. And so I want to start off with that by saying that if you or someone you know has done it and it's helped them, then I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for them. I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled that they found something. Okay, people are asking questions, which is exciting. I love when you guys ask questions. I'll give my little intro and then I'll start to answer them. Especially the reason why I'm thrilled for them, if it's helping them or if it did help them, is because health is a spectrum, right? It's not like, is this healthy or is this not healthy? It's about, is it like, it's not just like, it's not black and white. There's like better and worse or worse and better, right? And so, for example, so if, I don't know how familiar you guys are with like the program that how it works. So with Optavia, and a lot of people are like, what's Optavia? And then someone else will chime in and be like, oh, you see all those like spammed Facebook pictures that you're seeing constantly of like the side by sides and like, I lost 100 pounds and blah, blah, blah. That's them. And one of the criticisms I say that I would have just off the cuff from a business perspective is I don't feel like there's a lot of transparency. Like no one, they don't say they're saying that they're Optavia. It's just like, oh, this is my thing. And it's like private message me. Like I think, so that for me is kind of just like a red flag. Again, like, you know, I have a lot of people ask me like, how do you know who to trust? And I'm like, how do you know how to trust with anything? You have to use your critical thinking skills. So even if you're not a nutritionist, even if this, you know, is not your area of expertise, I think regardless, like you can be a critical thinker. And I know that for me in any category, I'm very wary when people aren't transparent. Like why, you know? So that's, again, I'm not a basher, but that I'm just speaking to you honestly. So the general consensus, obviously I'm not part of it. I also find it interesting that I know, and I'm grateful that I have this little family of you guys. But it's not, I'm not an Optavia person speaking about it, but people want to hear what I have to say, I think, because to a large degree, you trust me, I hope, right? You trust my perspective. And it's just sort of like, why isn't someone else doing that? Why aren't they spilling the beans of how it works and what goes on and what they think about it, right? So like I try to, as much as possible, have that transparency and explain how my programs work and the way that I do things with people and different things work for different people. Right, people are, okay, I'm trying to stay focused and read your comments at the same time. So I'll talk and then I'll go through your comments, but I love them and please keep commenting because it makes it a lot more fun for me to know there's really people here. So number one, so the general way that it works is that they have people eating basically little candy bars all day long. I think it's like 5 or 6 times a day. I've had friends that did it, right? So it's like every 2 hours, 2.5 hours, they like have a timer set and they eat a little candy bar that's like some protein powder in it and some sugar substitute in it. Could be that some of them really are sugar, some of them are sugar. I'm pretty sure it's sugar substitutes, but again, you can't Google it. You can't find it. So unless I had a friend who was a distributor or doing it that was willing to send me the nutrition information, which no one was, which is just like interesting. You know, other brands, you can just like Google what's in it. And this is very hard to find that. I did Google it and I found like one product, but I couldn't find, like, I know there's like literally a gazillion. That's an exaggeration, obviously. But basically it's little candy bars. I think they're all 100 calories. And so essentially how it works is it's an extreme caloric deficit. So about 5 or 6 times throughout the day, the people are eating a little teeny candy bar. By the way, I have to tell you, my husband was like, I can't believe you're going to do it. I'm so excited. Because he knows that in general, I don't like to be controversial. And I'm not a controversial person. And like I said, I really don't believe things are black and white. And if something helps someone, I genuinely think that's wonderful. Really. But I'm also comfortable sharing my concerns. You know, as if I was talking to you as if you were my sister. I don't think my sister's watching, but I think she's in the group. But maybe not. She's not super interested in nutrition and she knows she can just ask me anything anytime anyways. But regardless, so it's an extreme caloric deficit. So they're eating about, you know, 500 or 600 calories of candy bars throughout the day. And then they have one super low calorie meal that would be like, you know, a small portion of steamed kale, some baked protein, like baked tilapia or something, but very, very, very low fat. And that's it. And so the one meal I would say, from what I see of people doing it, is reasonably nutritious. The more of the issue that concerns me is like those little candy bars. They're literally little candy bars. It's definitely not the approach that I align with. But again, to be honest and perspective, I believe there are people in the world, I know there are, that are eating candy bars all day long anyways, right? They're eating Snickers and Twix and Kit Kats all day long anyways. And so if they're going through 15 Snickers bars all day long and then binging again on a super not healthy dinner, then I think it is a huge improvement for them to go from 15 Snicker bars to 5 little Optavia bars, you know, and start moving their meals into a healthier direction. And so it's not mind-boggling to me that some people will do better in their health following something like that because it's better than what they were doing, right? So again, if they were eating, you know, 15 candy bars, now they're having 6 and they're smaller and it's measured. And then at the end of the day, they're not having a whole pizza. They're having like a small portion of something. So first of all, it's better. So people get better. Like that's not rocket science. You don't probably need, I mean, I'm explaining it, but like, what do I sweeten with? I'm not sure because you can't find the information online. You'd have to find someone who sells it and ask them. The one that I found was sweetened, I think, with Splenda. I found one product online. But again, it's also like a red flag to me of like, why don't hide. Like if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide, and that's great. But to me, just as a critical thinker, right? I'm not a distributor. I'm not an insider. I'm sure you know people who do it. You're welcome to ask them these questions, but these are the questions that this is the thing that I am concerned about. I don't know if that's a concern is the right word, but that I think about. So as everyone pops on, I feel like I have to recap, but that's okay. You guys can watch from the beginning later if you want. The other thing that I think makes it successful for people is that it's very easy in the sense that you're literally just eating candy bars until your one meal later in the day. And so someone told me they checked a box today. Stevia and maltodextrin and brown rice syrup. Okay, so it's a combination of different kinds of sweeteners. Some healthier, some than others. And so so this is the bottom line of how it works for people. It's an extreme caloric deficit. So most of us, if we're not dieting, are probably getting in about 2,500 calories a day. And 80 years ago, when people were naturally thinner, it was more like 3,500 calories a day. And you and I can talk about that later, of like how that works. So if they were eating so much more and they were thinner, and healthier in a lot of ways. Obviously not every way, but in a lot of ways. And so I feel like I have to turn off the comments because it's so distracting to me, but I love that you guys are commenting, but I'll read them and respond. So what happens is it's an extreme caloric deficit. The body is like, oh my God, there's nothing to eat, and starts eating its own body fat. And that's how people lose, and they lose very quickly. I actually don't have a huge problem from a health perspective of people losing weight quickly. A lot of people lose weight very quickly on programs that they do with me. But the concern that I have with this type of weight loss, which again, honestly, like this is like the newest brand of it, but it's not different than anything that's been done before. It's extreme caloric deficit. They're eating a third of what they used to from a calorie perspective. The issue with, there's several issues. I want to see my little notes that I want to try down. The issue number one is that bodies are very, very smart. And if you put yourself in a caloric deficit over a long period of time, your body will adjust. Boom, Hannah said, but doesn't this kill your metabolism? Yes, it does. Because why? Because your body's not stupid. And it doesn't know you're just trying to lose weight. From an evolutionary and, biological perspective, if all of a sudden, right, like our bodies keep an accounting, just like you have a budget for your home, I hope, right? If you used to make 10K a month and all of a sudden you're making 5K a month, you have to cut your expenses. Otherwise, like this, you're going to go through all your savings and then you're going to really be in a pickle. So if you give your body an extreme caloric deficit and you do that for longer than 6 weeks, your body immediately begins to adjust and will lower your metabolism because it has to. Otherwise, what's going to happen? It's a survival instinct, and it's a good thing, and we should be grateful for it. But the problem is, right, is that's why people plateau, and then they have to cut even more calories. But what happens is their body goes into crisis mode, not just fat burning mode, when you do it through a caloric deficit. So we can talk later if you want about the way that I do with my clients, where it's adjusting your hormones, which doesn't put your body into crisis mode at all. But if you're doing weight loss through a caloric deficit, your body goes into crisis mode. And yes, it will wind up burning body fat, but it also will start to turn off all of the functions that are non-essential, which is why, if any of you have dieted before, some form of caloric deficit, you get moodier, you start to feel cold all the time, you're tired, you don't sleep as well, and more. I mean, I see the other part of it also that I'm like, again, I don't like to crap on other people's parades, because I really believe like there's different strokes for different folks, and I don't have to put you down for me to stand tall or whatever it is. But I also feel that I would want to know, if I didn't know, what I'm sharing. And I've had several clients recently, like since Optavia became like a big thing, come to me after doing Optavia and say, I lost 40 pounds doing Optavia, but now my weight is climbing back up, even though I'm at 1,100 calories a day. I don't know if you guys know what calories are. I generally am not a calorie counter at all, but I know that I'm about probably 2,500. Most of us are about 2,500 if we're not counting and we're not like super duper overeaters, if we're just like kind of normal people. So this woman was at 1,100 calories, which is like nothing. Her weight was climbing even at 1,100. She told me, this is one story of many, but I'm telling you about one person. My nails are brittle and cracking. My hair is falling out. I'm not getting my period anymore, and she was in her 30s. This is not like someone in their mid-50s. I'm extremely irritable. I've developed insomnia. and I'm catching every cold that goes around in my house. And I never used to be like that. And the truth is, I'd really like to lose another 10 pounds, but now even with the 1100, I'm gaining. And everyone thinks, and this is like the nice, what is it? That nice, blame the victim line people say when people diet using caloric deficit and it stops working and they inevitably gain it back, because scientifically that will always happen. People blame the victim and, she let herself go. Totally not the case. It stops working because your metabolism slows down. It has to. It has to do that, because it doesn't, it's like, oh my gosh, where's my food going to come from, right? And so the metabolism slows down. And then even when they stay with it, right? If any of you have ever dieted at all, right? People think either, people will judge me like, oh, you lost your willpower. But my experience talking to people is they did not lose their willpower. They would do anything, and that being overweight is so uncomfortable. People literally will be like, I'll do anything. You see people like running at the gym and they're sweating and they're not good runners. They look like they hate it, but they really want to feel good in their body. They want to feel embodied. So it's not that people lose their willpower. It's that their body literally has a mechanism. It's called your set weight point. It's determined by your hormones. And so if you artificially lower your weight by cutting calories, then the whole time your body is fighting to get back up to that point. And so that's what happens. And that's very concerning for me. Not just, okay, so number one, it can't be effective in the long term. If you know someone that's the exception, hallelujah, that's great for them. I'm thrilled. Scientifically, every study that has ever studied low-calorie dieting always shows that people cannot maintain, and they always wind up gaining it back without breaking the diet. It's because, again, the metabolism has to slow down. So, for example, you know, like the show, like The Biggest Loser, that used to be all over, like used to be a big hit. I don't even know if it's on anymore, but I think it is actually, but I'm not sure. I don't watch that stuff because it's very shameful. It's very like shaming of the people that are trying to lose weight, and it doesn't work. It makes them fight their body constantly. See, they work out like maniacs and they do lose. But do you know why they never do a reunion show of the winners? Because none of the winners are still thin. And you can't tell me those people don't have willpower. They literally were shamed for the entire like American and TV viewing public for like months, ate next to nothing, and worked out like a horse. So I should have willpower like those people. You know what I'm saying? They have willpower. It's that your body is brilliant and it's trying to get back to its set weight point. And so that's one thing about it. The other concern for me is, again, that because it's such a caloric deficit and the majority of what the people are eating is crap. It's literally little candy bars or little cup of soups that like my mom would never let me get, like the cup of soups, like the tradition soups, or like the non-kosher version is like top ramen. I loved that crap because it's delicious, but it's totally unhealthy. Again, not like I would never have it in a million years, but I would never, with my integrity intact, knowing what I know, could never get behind a product like that. And I get approached to get part of these things all the time, whether it's Optavia or Shackley or whatever, all these multi-level marketing things, which are not necessarily scams, by the way. There's a difference between multi-level marketing and like a pyramid scheme. I'll just identify that. I don't think that Shackley nor Optavia are pyramid schemes. I think they're legit businesses. Legit is a relative term. Meaning the difference is with just so you know, a pyramid scheme makes money by getting people signed up, not by actually selling the product or the service. That's the difference. So with Shackley and their vitamins, and with Optavia and their little candy bars, I think they do also maybe get a kickback from signing people up. But the majority of what they're earning is actually through the service or the product they're providing. So that's why it's the multi-level marketing, but it's not a scheme. No one is getting, from a business perspective at least, no one is getting screwed, right? So that's one thing I just want to clarify. But knowing what I know about nutrition and health and weight and hormones, I could never get behind something like this, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when things will go south. That being said, I also want to clarify, especially for people who maybe came on in the middle, that everything is relative. And if people are doing better than before, then their health will be better than before. Because again, if they were eating candy bars all day and having, pizza 5 nights a week, or the equivalent of kind of nutrient, not the opposite of density, just kind of crappy food, then if they start having fewer candy bars and more nutritious food, then they're going to do better. And great, I'm happy for them. Literally, and I mean that, and I think it's a step in the right direction. People often ask me, like, when we're out, like, oh, what do you think about soda? Isn't soda like the worst? And I'm like, listen, I think it's probably obvious to you, if you were watching this and you know me at all, how I feel about soda. However, I won't make a blanket statement, because I don't know what they're drinking soda instead of. Meaning, like, some people start drinking soda when they give up smoking. Is one worse than the other? I don't know, to be honest. But I don't ever advise people that are not my clients in front of me. When you're my client in front of me and we give a 2-hour assessment and see everything related in your health, then I can confidently tell you something. But we're standing on one foot, and usually it's like the wife trying to get me to kind of gang up with her against her husband about why he should stop drinking soda. And I don't jump on the bashing train. Chaya's saying, but what then? What? I'm not sure what you're asking. So that, okay, what else did I want to tell you? Yeah, okay. Okay. The other issue is, and this is not necessarily Optavia, this is pretty much, again, every health weight loss strategy that I take issue with, is that it's ignoring the root of the issue. Because weight is not about calories in versus calories out. And anyone who's ever tried to diet and saw that they were maybe successful in the short term and gained it all back knows that. Anyone who's ever tried to diet and could not lose an ounce no matter what knows that. And anyone who's ever been friends with people and see, like, oh, this person eats like a horse and they're thin, and this person eats like a bird and they're not, can have, just with common sense, the awareness, there's something else going on. And that is because our bodies have a set weight point, which is determined by your hormones. That's why some people are more naturally thin, and kind of, the truth is, if you've ever done this experiment with someone, for a person who's naturally thin, it's hard for them to gain weight. Like, you can, like, overfeed them. And the truth is, if you're on, like, mommy groups on Facebook, you'll sometimes see, like, oh, my daughter or my child is underweight, and I feed them so much, and they even do eat, but they're still underweight. And it's, again, because it's a hormone thing that determines your body's set weight point. And unless you're adjusting it at the hormonal level, it's brutal to get that to move. Super classes, I itch my ear. And so not that you can't ever get it to move, but it's basically like this. The way that hormones, the way that I was trying to combine weight and hormones, the way that your weight is determined, it's basically like a thermostat in your house, right? So if you have a 4-year-old and they get up in the morning and they flip the thermostat all the way to 80 or 90, whatever yours goes to, and then while they're waiting for you to wake up, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. They don't think of the thermostat because they don't realize how it works. So they start opening all the windows and putting on fans. But what happens? As soon as it drops below 80, the thermostat kicks the heater back on. And so that's what happens also to us. We have a body set weight point determined by hormones. And if we start exercising like a maniac or doing a severe caloric deficit, it may lower it momentarily for the short term, but your body is fighting you and trying to get back up to where it wants to be. Or again, if it's a person who's naturally thin, no matter kind of how much they eat, their body is fighting to get back down. And we can talk about that more later if you're interested. It's new science. I honestly just figured this out myself, the hormonal piece of it. Like I always knew that weight was determined by your hormones, but I didn't really understand how to intentionally adjust your weight thermostat until like a year ago, which is why in the past I never really specialized in weight loss. I would do other hormone related things. If you guys know, I did a lot of like digestive issues. I did a lot of like cycle issues and PMS and infertility and moodiness and PCOS and people with their periods missing or just like super painful and stuff like that. And often they would wind up losing weight anyways because like they were doing better, right? But I didn't advertise the weight loss piece of it because I wasn't really like exactly clear how it worked. And I really, I'd like to think I have a lot of integrity. It's interesting. It makes me think of actually the things of like, a lot of times like men will apply for jobs if they think they're like mildly qualified, and like women won't apply for a job unless this is of course generally speaking, but statistically women won't apply for a job unless they like know they're like beyond qualified. So like I kind of was laughing of like almost all my clients would lose weight anyways, but still if I ever had a client like call and be like my main concern is weight loss, I would be honest with them and be like, listen, almost all my clients lose weight, but like that's not what I can promise. I can't promise anything, but that's not like what I do. Versus now, I figured this out like a year ago. And in that time, I lost like 45 pounds because for me, it was all hormonal also. Like I was, of course, like eating all the things that I knew and doing it. But my body set weight point, basically after I had each kid, I would just like gain like 25 pounds. And my body was just like, that's chill. We're going to stay here. And I was like, oh my God. So I had a totally, personal vested interest in figuring it out because I would never do something that I knew would be detrimental to myself for the long term, like a crazy caloric deficit. I've always been like a long-sighted person, even as a child. I would be like, how is this going to affect me in the long term? But so now I'm doing that with clients constantly, and it's amazing. And they lose quickly and get healthier at the same time because you're not fighting your body, you're getting things back into alignment with your body. So it's a totally, totally different approach. Okay, let me start reading up, to the questions that you guys had. Okay. Okay, Rachel's asking, is it healthy? Is my basic question, but I think the whole point of this live. Okay, so yeah, the question is it healthy? So the long short of it is it depends. It's certainly not my standard of healthy. I would not be happy to have my family members doing it for sure. That being said, it's healthier than eating bigger candy bars with more fake ingredients all day long and then eating a crappy meal for dinner. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I like to think of like, but what would be the best? The best would be to like lose weight in a way that's not inevitable to gain it back and not eat crap at the same time. So that's of course like what I would vote for and what I do with my clients. But again, if it's working for someone and it's better than they were doing before, then like kol hakavod, and I hope that it keeps them that way again. Because again, like I said, I feel like I see the dark underbelly. Like they are always posting all of their testimonials, which again, like I post my testimonials. I don't post side-by-side pictures because Facebook does not allow you to do that. They're able to get away with it because no one's interacting on Facebook as a business. They're all doing it as your friends. But Facebook has very strict rules about what you're allowed to advertise. And that's why, if you're interested in weight loss, you probably get advertised weight loss products all the time, but you never see the before and after pictures unless it's someone that's doing it personally to you. Because Facebook doesn't want you to have that kind of experience on Facebook, because when you see a before and after picture, it makes you feel like crap, right? It's like, oh God, yeah, I look like the fat one, right? Versus like if you see other like, supplements or whatever, there's a lot of rules about it that it can't be that kind of dynamic. And so that's also like, not super full of integrity. But as far as the testimonials of like people feeling better, great, better is better. What's my opinion on the specific carbohydrate diet? We can talk about that another time. Generally speaking, it can do good things for some people sometimes. I don't have any specific like, oh, I think it's so terrible or whatever. I mean, I guess I don't really have that about anything. That's not true. But in general, a specific carbohydrate diet can be really helpful for some people, depending on what they're dealing with. All these things are tools, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why, like with my clients, no two clients get the same plan, because like it depends what we're addressing, right? Like it's not that this is the only good diet in the world or that's the only good diet in the world. It's that food is power, and food, by the way, you guys have to see my cool little slippers. Here's something I got at Costco, like the vortex of awesomeness. Like I didn't go there for slippers, but they were amazing. But basically when you're using food as medicine, then it's like, that's like asking, is this a good medicine? Well, it may be good for some things. Maybe some medicines are across the board, not great, but it's not so much about like, is it good, is it bad? It's like, it's good if you need it and it makes you better, and it's bad if you don't need it and you take it and it makes you unhealthy from that. Okay. Ruta said a health coach wouldn't tell me what the brand was until I asked her many times, and she told me not to Google it. Right. So that's just, again, as a critical thinking person, like that doesn't feel so clean. Maybe they have nothing to hide. That's fine. I'm not saying that it means something, but that is a red flag to me. I don't know. Would you go on a date with a guy who's like, don't Google me? Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Sarah Sikva, I think it's helpful for short term when you have a ton to lose, but it's not sustainable. It would definitely not be my preferred modality, but a severe caloric deficit, yes, people will lose in the short term, but if you lose weight with a severe caloric deficit, you inevitably slow down your metabolism, which is why when people stop dieting, they don't just gain it back, they gain it back and then some, right? Because now if they go back to eating what they used to, but now they're not burning 2,500 anymore. They got used to burning 1,000. So now if they go back to 2,500, they're going to gain. And that's what you see. That's what you see with people. I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't talk to people about this, but for example, when I work with people to lose weight or do any kind of hormone related things, the people who have not dieted in the past have a much easier time losing weight, because when I work with people who did severe caloric deficits to lose weight in the past and then inevitably gain it back, because that is what the science says and every study says ever, they just don't get like a lot of attention because it goes against the dogma of the nutrition industry, right? The nutrition industry is like, oh, it's so simple. Like, of course, it's, move more and eat less. But if it was so simple, then we wouldn't have the trouble. But what was I saying? Oh, that the people who have not dieted have a faster and easier time losing weight because their metabolism is still high. And when I get to clients who have their metabolism has slowed down a lot, before we can start helping them lose again, we first have to boost their metabolism again. There's like a period of depending how long, it depends how slow down it went, but of a few weeks of just getting their metabolism fast again before we can get them starting to burn again. I mean, that's not true. Sometimes they can start to lose at the same time. It depends on how severely affected they are at that point. Okay, what do they sweeten with? Hannah said she checked a box today. Stevia, maltodextrin, brown rice syrup. So not the worst thing in the world. Not great. Not Splenda. Not aspartame. So I will give credit where credit is due. I'm happy to hear that. Chaya asked, if it's not sustainable, most everyone's doing it, are likely to gain the weight back. That is likely, unless, it is very likely. Yes, it is. It's sort of inevitable. Unless, again, they were just eating so poorly before that what they're doing now is just better. Do you see what I'm saying? So, or maybe they'll gain back some, but not all of it, because like they used to just eat an insane amount of garbage, and now they're eating far less garbage. So they're, that's pretty sustainable on that, from that perspective of it, right? Yeah, they have shakes and oatmeal, exactly. I mean, I'm not into shakes of any kind. People are always like, oh, what kind of like protein powder? I'm like, just eat real food. Okay. Doesn't it kill your metabolism? Yes. Okay. Yeah, people are saying that's what I'm afraid of. It is a valid concern. I hope that doesn't happen to you. But again, like I see the dark underbelly of people reaching out to me of like, my metabolism's shot, I feel like crap, and I don't know what to do. I've developed a chronic illness after doing it. A lot of times people don't put two and two together. Again, correlation does not equal causation, but for me, it is statistically relevant. The amount of people that I have spoken to that have become unwell while or after doing the program. Okay. This is amazing info. Thank you. You're so welcome. I'm glad. Okay. What happens if you start that kind of program? I'm not sure what you mean. What happens if you start their program is you go into severe caloric deficit. You probably lose a bunch of weight. Then you start to get cold and irritable and feel like crap and gain it back. 6 months to a year usually is when people start gaining it back, because that's like when their metabolism just peters out. Listen, some people do have phenomenal willpower and they can do it, but they're fighting their body the whole time. So like, why would you, I think you guys understand how I feel. Okay. I have a friend who posts side-by-side pictures every day. Right. Because she's doing it from her personal profile. So Facebook doesn't watch that. Like, so if I want to post an ad, I actually haven't ever done paid ads. I'm going to start doing them soon because I'm doing a course soon. Right now, I'm still working one-on-one with clients for weight loss, but I'm in the process of creating a course, and then I'm not going to be doing one-on-ones anymore, probably, because I can just be able to help a lot more people, because there is a whole literal system to the way it works with hormone-related weight loss, so that's really cool, because I can literally, like, it. But anyways, once I start doing that and doing paid ads from my business account, right? So when you create it, you don't just like press post the way you do on your personal page, right? If you're doing it from a business page, you submit it to Facebook. Facebook has to say like, okay, you're allowed to post this. And if I would you're not allowed to do a side-by-side. You're not allowed to do anything that's shaming. You can't be like, do you feel like a fatty? I felt like a fatty. Like you can't. Saying, do you feel like a fatty and I feel like a fatty is basically the same thing. And so Facebook wouldn't allow that. I was so overweight. I felt so bad about myself. Facebook would never let that fly from a business account. Okay. Oh, Racheli Gurevich, you and the girls are watching. That's so exciting. Love the cozy slippers. Thank you so much. I love you so much, Bloomy. Okay. Wouldn't intermittent fasting accomplish the same goal? Intermittent fasting is entirely different. It works off of a totally, totally different paradigm. And I know people have been asking a lot about intermittent fasting, which is exciting because it's a really interesting topic and I really like it for some things. But I want to save it and talk about it then because it's its whole thing. So, okay, lesson of the day. Just don't do this kind of diet. I don't like to be so black and white. Like, if you're, if it's better health-wise than what you're doing, then it's better, right? So, yes, of course, I would say it's even better than that to just eat real foods and get healthy that way. And if you have a hormone imbalance that's causing your weight to be in a place that you don't want it to, then adjust it that way, because then you're adjusting the root of it and you're getting healthier in the meanwhile as opposed to less. But yeah, nothing is so black and white. I don't even know what time it is right now, and I have a client soon. I should check what time it is. I can't, normally I just check the clock on my phone. Oh, 3:15. I'm so late. Sorry. Okay, if she's watching, maybe. Okay, but I'm gonna hop off. If you guys have any more questions, comment them below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. I love you all, and next week we'll either do blood type diet, or if you guys are interested in hearing more about the hormonal weight loss thing, to me it's been amazing and life-changing, but I want to give you what you guys want, so let me know. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.